Hello everyone, I am back with a new pin day video. I have a new Delta that I purchased from Atlas Stationers. I was just browsing around looking for some ink and I happened across this. This was a new arrival at Atlas. And if you watched my Leonardo new pin day video from about a month ago, I did mention that I regretted missing out on the Leonardo Memento Zero Mother of Pearl. And so when I saw this randomly, I pretty much snapped it up right away. And I also have a bottle of Vinta ink. So I'm going to talk about this and give my first impressions. I did take a quick glance at it because I was a little afraid. Sometimes some resins look better than others. So I had to take a quick peek at it just to make sure it was okay. So this is the outer box. This is Delta or DE 78184 Atlas. And I guess that's number 79. They are limited. I think it's either 150 or 156. Hopefully I can see it closer here. And it is a fine point. And on the front, it just says Delta Fine Writing Instrument since 1982. And it just says Delta Fine Writing Instrument since 1982. Same thing there. The sides. And it's a cardboard box. It's again Delta, Italy, 1982. And some materials, handcrafted with heart, fatto a mano, made by hand in Napoli, Italia. It's just some information there. International warranty. Has a lifetime warranty, which is very impressive. This is the Delta Duna, the red abalone. And I'll show you some of the pictures that are on the Atlas Stationer site. And some of them definitely look better than others. So I was really hoping that I would get a good one. On first glance, it does look like I got a pretty good one. So I'm pretty pleased, at least with the resin, the appearance of the resin. That's the Delta Duna red abalone, and this is a Jonathan Brooks resin. And yes, this is number 79 of 150. It's hard to tell if it's a 0 or a 6, but I do believe that is a 0, 150. So you see it has some blues, some really dark black, bluish black, some pearl, rose, little green, white, and it has ruthenium trim. And there's the section. Again, I picked the fine point. It's the inside of the cap. I don't see, oh yeah, there is a cap liner. It's hard to see it, but it does appear to be a cap liner in there. Of course, you have your ball clip and conical infinials. And this is a piston filler. No ink window, but that's okay. There's the feed. I'll show you this up close. So there's the nib. This Delta on there. Delta, Italy, and there's an F. There's the feed. Section. And here's the resin. Very pretty. So yeah, when I saw the mother of pearl I was super excited. And there's the cap. We have a nice band here, ruthenium trimmed band here, and another band here at the end of the section, and one at the piston knob. And it should say here Delta X Atlas 2024 limited edition, number 79 of 150. Kind of hard to see that, but very pretty. And we'll compare it to some others. Here's the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0 Galactica Nebula. This is the Leonardo Momento Zero Endless Pens Hatch Exclusive Hades with a Lamy LX and a Pilot Metropolitan. And there's the Delta Duna. So they're all pretty comparable. It's pretty comparable with the Leonardo Hades. The Momento Zero Grande is quite a bit bigger and girthier. I say it's a little bit bigger than the Metropolitan, but very comparable to the Momento Zero, as you can see there. So very, very similar in style. The colors were said to take their inspiration from the ocean. And of course, with the Abalone, you can probably see that there. So as far as ink, what I'm going to ink this up with, I had this in my cart first. So I don't know if this is going to be a match, but we can swatch this and see if they'll work. Looking at the color there, it may be, and this is Lakbay, Vinta Lakbay. We'll see. My first bottle or anything of Vinta. So they wrapped it up nicely. So it says Vinta Sea and Sky 1861, Lakbay, handcrafted 30 ml bottle. I don't know if there's any sheen or shimmer in it. Let's see. Oh my goodness, now I have to get this off somehow. Let's see what Vinta Lakbay looks like. If I don't use this Vinta ink, I'll I recently received some Diamond Music Edition ink, so I may try some of those if Lakbay doesn't look good enough. That looks like a pretty good match, I would think. Not a very super saturated ink. It's pretty washed out. Let's see. Not really a match, but I'm not sure what would match with this. There's some of the blues there. I think I'm just going to go with this since they came together. If I don't like it, I can always take it out. One thing I said I was going to start doing was to wash my pens before I ink them, and I failed that already. Do that one more time. It feels like feels like an end cap instead of a piston filler, but it says it's a piston. This feels a little different. So this is the Delta Duna Red Abalone. This Atlas exclusive. It's a fine steel nib. I'm thinking that they only come in steel nib, so they have extra fine, fine, medium, broad, a 1.1 stub, a 1.5 stub, and a flex extra fine, and a flex fine. And the price was $215. And I used my 5% off coupon. So it's not a bad deal at all. I will put all the specs and everything on the screen. See how wet this is. Pretty wet. Very firm, fine nib. Has nice feedback, but very smooth at the same time. I'm not sure about this ink though. So very smooth, very firm. Doesn't do anything in reverse, which is fine. Right, the quick brown fox. I think for this fine nib, I would prefer a darker ink, I think. For me, this is a little bit too light, but I do like the way the pen is writing. So I have a couple other deltas that I'll do a quick comparison. So let me get those really quick. First, we have the Delta Duna. This is another Duna. This is the Blue Oasis, and I also bought this from Atlas Stationers. This was in their last chance section, so I got this for 50% off. So it was about $86 after the 50% off discount. And this is a Delta Hippocratica. I bought this from, who did I buy this from? I think Pinchalet. I bought this from Pinchalet, I think. And so this is an homage to Hippocrates. This was my first Delta. And let's see, these two Dunas are pretty similar in size. Same size, actually. Just the Blue Oasis has a ink window and the Red Abalone doesn't. So they both have the same bands pretty much. So I'll show you how the Blue Oasis writes. The Blue Oasis is inked with, what is it, Monteverde, California teal. And this is a fine flex nib. And it's a little, let's see, maybe, no, I'm not running low. Oh, let's have some bounce. That's the Delta Duna Blue Oasis. And a fine flex. So this one wasn't inked up, but I dipped it, so we'll see if it writes. The problem is that it won't fit into my diamond bottle. someone get diamond to make bottles with bigger necks. And this is a fine nib as well. And it writes excellent. The skipping is just because I'm dipping it and there's not enough ink in here. But this is a fine steel. These are all steel nibs. So you can see how they look. Right there, you can see the Lakbay. I think I would actually like the California teal in the Abalone, but I have California teal in a few pens, so I won't. The Lakbay is actually kind of growing on me a little bit. I just wish it was a tad bit darker. I'll show you how these write on different paper. This is my black and red notebook that I typically use in my reviews. This is a Rhodia dot pad. So we'll see how the red abalone works on this. I'm just going to do some quick brown foxes. I do like the sheening, the shimmer in that Lakbay. It is an interesting color. Very interesting color. And try the Blue Oasis. Ink all over my hands. Ink and fertilizer all over my hands. My hot mess today. But I always get excited when I have a new pen day to share with everyone. And hopefully enable some people to look into these pens. Feels very nice on the Rhodia paper. And see, I may have to dip this one more time. Oh, that feels really nice too. You hear this one has a little bit more feedback than the other two. Yeah, I like that feedback on this one. Trying to look, is this a fine or is this extra fine? It's a fine. Fertilizer all over my hands. That the Hippocrates feels really good on this paper. Lastly, I'm just going to use some very inexpensive paper from the Dollar Tree. This is a jot notebook. So Dollar Tree is just $1.25, but it does hold up very well with fountain pens. Make sure I'm in frame. So it feels a little bit toothier on this paper because there's no coating on this. Yeah, the Vinta ink is definitely growing on me. So I think I'll definitely keep that in. I like that look. And it's different from a lot of the other inks that I have in my collection. That feels good as well on the Jot notebook. I think it was Seaweed Kisses that introduced me to these Jot notebooks. That feels good as well. And this in this pen I have dipped this writer's blood, which I thought looked good with the red and finial there. Maybe oxblood would be a little bit better, but that's how it looks on this paper. Let's see if there's any bleeding. I have these pages glued together because I was doing some swatching, but you do see there is some bleed through with the flex, but the other two are fine. We'll say in the hand, this feels very comfortable. It's a good size. There are no sharp threads or anything on my fingers. It does post. You have to push down on it a bit, but it does post. And it's not that long posted, so I could write with it posted if I chose to. But yeah, what I noticed is when I went to take the cap off, I did move the piston knob a little bit. So that's something that you want to be aware of. Other than that, feels pretty good in the hand. But that's all I had today for the Delta Duna Atlas exclusive red abalone. What I'll do is I'll have this in my currently inked for the month, and I'll give you my final thoughts on how it behaves throughout the month and how I got along with the Vinta ink. I actually think it's a pretty good match with the pinkish hue that you have in the Vinta ink, and you have the pink, then you have the blue. I think that's, although it's not a direct match when you put them side by side, I think it does match pretty well. So I'm going to go with that. The ink is a little on the dry side, but I think it'll work. If not, I'll switch it out. But that is all I have for today. Thanks for everyone that's been subscribing, all the new subscribers. I am almost at 1,000. I appreciate you all, old and new. So until next time, everyone take care, and I will see you later in the month.